Hello, welcome to WD18, the Watford fan channel. On today's show, with Sam Ucko, Charlie Zazzera, Jacob Culshaw. No messing about today. We're going to get straight into it. Watford 2, Middlesbrough 3. Not a great day at the office, to say the least. We're going to be talking about the game as a whole and what we can expect from this Watford team going forwards, what we can expect from Valor and Ismail going forwards, and giving a full review of Watford at this moment in time. Thank you to everyone who's watched at the moment. Make sure you do leave your comments in the live chat. If you're watching this back, comment down below your thoughts. Subscribe to WD18. Leave a like on the video, all that good stuff. Right, Sam, how are you, mate? New room, new settings. Still in Birmingham?
Still in Birmingham, final year now. So, time to take things a bit seriously as well here. Final year. Not nice to be here again. Unfortunately, I couldn't make the game yesterday because there are train strikes. But I will be back for Cardiff next Saturday. But like I said on the instant match reaction, I don't know whether I want to look at it as whether it was fortunate or unfortunate that I missed it yesterday. So
I mean, I don't think it was unfortunate, to be honest with you. Having been there, Charlie, mate, how you getting on? You okay?
I'm good. Yesterday during the day was bad, but I did go and see a band called Busted. Do you know them?
Mate, come on. But
I don't know how young you are. What was your first gig you've ever been to? Because my first gig was 20 years ago seeing Busted. And this is one for the comments. We want to know what your first gig was.
I'm not really
parents without parents, because there's two different. If we're talking with parents, it's like a take that job. But if it's
with parents,
okay, probably is take that then. I was like 9, 10.
No, I'm not really a music man myself, to be fair. I've never really to be fair, my first gig I've ever been to was Elton John at Vicarage Road.
No, I mean that's not a bad first one to be fair.
No, definitely not. To be fair, I'm happy to talk about gigs and music for the rest of the stream rather than Watford yesterday. So
you know, Sam's more of a podcast man. If you go to Crouch Fest,
love it. Love Crouch Fest. If Chris Stark is watching, buzzing.
Big up Chris, actually. If he is watching, what a man. He now sits in front of me at the games, which is pretty cool. We had a nice chat at, the West Brom game? We were both looking at the pitch, analysing what we need to change, and we'll do that on today's stream. Got a few comments in already just on Watford. Ian, good to see you. Evening all, was at the game yesterday. 2 points if we don't improve. League One looms and a new head coach in. The squad isn't promotion material, but it should be better than 20th in the Championship. I agree with that last statement, but it is still early days, I guess. Charlotte says this must be, statistically in brackets, our worst Championship start. Harry, good to see you, my man. Right, we'll get straight into it. Charlie, I'll let you kick off today. I have to say I was really struggling with it yesterday. First half, I thought we were bad. Second half, I think Val even said post-match that he got it wrong tactically. Tweaked it for the second half. A slight improvement, but I think probably on the balance of play, Middlesbrough probably deserved it, to be completely honest with you. How did you see the game overall?
Yeah, firstly, just mainly, I was really disappointed with the changes that Val made. When he done it initially, I thought, okay, we'll give it a go to see how this pans out. They've been working on it all week. But I just thought everything that's been good about Watford so far this season was having that identity. And to change it just because we got beaten by Leeds, I just thought was a bit rash. He obviously came out afterwards and admitted his mistakes, which I think that did make me feel a bit better that he owned it. And hopefully we go back to that style that we've been working on, and we have seen some positive signs. But first half, especially first 20 minutes, was a horror show defensively, out of possession. It looked like we were playing the donut formation. There was such a big gap in the middle. Borough were just able to pop it around, and those goals that we conceded were pretty horrible. Let me get up actually a couple of screen grabs of the goals.
The donut formations one I've never heard of.
Needed to learn from yesterday.
That's coach's voice heritage, that.
Sorry, bear with me. So we've got the first window.
Do you know what? Just while Charlie's getting up, Sam, I've got to ask you just quickly on the... Actually, you know what, Charlie, go. The floor is yours, and then I'll just ask Sam about the sort of lineup situation.
So, yeah, with the way we set up yesterday, obviously it was with a back three, and we had Tom Delly and Loser as a midfield too. It just felt like they were playing like with the old principles as the two number 8s, like really, really high up. And as soon as Middlesbrough midfield got at them, like literally, they were just this is like the worst Monday Night Football you will ever see here.
Right
You
there.
can't see it there. But yeah, so you can see there, like that's from the fourth minute for their goal. They just bypass. You can see Tom Delly and Loser at the top of your screen, and then they've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 players against our 1, 2, 3, and we presume Lewis is at left back. And that's first 5 minutes. It just felt our midfield was non-existent. I've liked Sierralta in that number 6 role, and it just felt like his presence was missing there massively. I'll quickly get up the second goal, and it was more of the same, really. And that was after, 18 minutes or something like that. So, this is where I've got the terrible triangle. So I think this one was really, really hard to take. They had a goal kick from Seny Dieng, and the ball's dropped where that Middlesbrough player's got it now, right in the centre midfield. No one's gone out to him. Porto's gone rushing in, which we've seen him do a couple of times. And then it's one ball to Matt Crooks, and then they're just at our defence again. Just really poor shape, out of possession. I just thought we were really, really bad. And then we started the game at 2-0 down. So I think that kind of says everything about the start of the game. And then I was trying to look at the stats to think, all right, what stats can we look at to show how bad it was in the first half? You can see the momentum bar here, Middlesbrough's first goal. It was a bit like a basketball match. You can see it up and down in the first half. And then I think positives, you can see second half, we did come out. Obviously, we did get that goal from Bio. Again, I think that was a Middlesbrough mistake. And then Bio should have made it 2-2 with that bad miss where he rounded the keeper. But I did think we responded well in the second half, and you can see that momentum that led to Wesley Hoot's goal. And then looking at the stats, expected goals 1.34 each. We beat him on ball possession. Total shots, we had more shots than them, more shots on target. They had 3 shots on target, scored all 3. Big chances, we had 2. They only had 1. So if you never watched this game and you're looking at stats, you'll probably think, Watford done all right, but Middlesbrough took their chances. But I think this is where you've got to look at the eye test, because I thought Middlesbrough looked a lot better. I think out of possession, we were a mess. Like I said, the positives for me is that we did try and go back in, and we did kind of create chances. Obviously, we hit the crossbar at the end. I thought maybe Tom Ince his ball could have been better where it went straight to the keeper when he got to the byline. But I just think that defensive display in the first half was really, really bad way to start the game.
Yeah, it was. Do you know what, Sam? The question I was going to ask you before we sort of did the screenshot Monday Night Football WD18 was on the lineup, because Val said post-match he said he got it wrong tactically. I have to say, when the lineup came through, I was really surprised that he kept the sort of same system that we had at Leeds away, because we were chasing the game. The biggest concern, Sam, from my perspective when I saw it, and I said this to you guys before we started today, it felt like every game before the Leeds one, we've played the same system, whether it's different personnel, Val's finding his best team. We talked about it on that Val 2.0 video where we talked about his tactics and the system he's trying to play. And it felt like he completely threw that out the window yesterday. Just your thoughts on the way he set us up, because he admitted he got it wrong, but that was really disappointing, I thought.
Yeah, really disappointing. I know it's on a bigger scale, and Manchester City and Arsenal, ultimately we're not on the same realm as them, but both of them had sticky starts under Pep Guardiola and Mikel Arteta. But both of those managers were able to keep their principles, and they were able to build on what they had, worked on it. There were mistakes and bumps along the way, but they're still the best teams in England at the moment, particularly Manchester City, who their first season under Guardiola, I think they just about scraped into the top 4. I know we're not on the same level. We don't have the same budget, and it's not comparable in many ways, but I'd like to think that Valérien Ismaël would have backed himself a bit more, backed his style of play. To me, it looked like there was I don't want to say a loss of hope in the players, but maybe a loss in the style of play, a loss of hope regarding the style of play. And I was just a bit disappointed to see such a change when it's been working. Prior to Leeds, at least, it was working so well. It's okay to have bad days every so often. Leeds are a fantastic team who'll be up there coming into the season, although they lost. It's okay that we lost that game, but just continue what we were doing, build on it, get better at it, instead of it just felt like everything was thrown away and we're trying to start again now.
Sam, how much of a step backwards is this yesterday? Because I've seen a lot of reaction to this performance and defeat, and I understand the frustration because it's not a good one on paper, especially with the way Middlesbrough started this season. And ultimately, the performance, particularly in the first half, was way off the pace. Is this as big a step back as what it's been? We've seen online from certain people saying that this is pretty big, or
I don't think. I think it's too early to say that because of yesterday's defeat, we're definitely getting relegated. Like I've seen some people saying, obviously people are entitled to their own opinions. I personally think it's still early days and this season could go either way. I do think, though, it's worrying the way that he changed the system. Like Charlie said, it's good that he held his hands up and admitted that he got it wrong. But like I said, it looks like he lost a bit of faith in the players, that we haven't perhaps executed his style of play as well as we could have done in that first part of the season, even though the signs were there. And I just hope that this isn't going to dent confidence too much, because we know I know it's a very different team to what we've had over the last few years, but ultimately there's this underbelly of a fear that we could regress into a really poor state of form if we don't pick up a result this week, ultimately.
Charlie, just lastly on this before we touch on sort of what happened in the game, as someone who you really liked the way Val was kind of setting us up. High risk Val's high risk Hornets. Like there was a clear sort of. I think we actually all knew how we were going to try and play, and we were almost completely the opposite of what we've seen at the start of this season. How much of a concern was it for you, like in terms of not only the lineup but also it's we have to say it's a game of fine margins. We get a point yesterday or a win, we might have a bit of a different tone, but I have to say, especially with you, someone who really liked the look of where we were heading. I have to say I'm quite frustrated because you can already tell that, as Sam said, the players maybe are starting to not doubt him, but you worked the whole pre-season and the first period of the games with this one system, and you've gone, you know what, we're going to scrap this. We can play it anymore. It doesn't really make sense. It doesn't add up.
Yeah, it is one game, and we've got another 2 games in the next 5-6 days. So my big hope is that he does revert back to that. And I do like the fact that he admitted it, that it was his mistake. And look, sometimes people moan about managers not changing anything, and if we would have lost, be like, oh God, he's sticking to it, it's not working. But he's admitted it, like it's done. It's early in the season, but yeah, I was massively frustrated because, like I said, we've liked to see how we've been playing. We've liked with the fullbacks inverted. We liked Tom Delly and Loser kind of pushing up. We've liked Sierralta in that role. Martin's out wide. So yeah, frustrated. But just yesterday, especially that first half, just giving me bad flashbacks of last season, especially
what with Charlie,
especially the back three. Watching Wesley Hoot get isolated out wide as like a left centre hat, and even Porto, it just felt like we were spreading. You could see especially the 2 goals, that they were just kind of getting it in between the lines and finding space because we didn't have that midfield and the defence was a bit all over the place. So I really think Hoot and Porto, look, they're not perfect at all, but I think they're stronger as like a team together. I think we saw it last year with Craig Cathcart. I remember that Luton game. It was horrible when it kind of feels like that midfield are getting pulled out everywhere. It just doesn't seem secure at all. So, yeah, really disappointing yesterday. But I'm just hoping, look, one game, let's go back to what's worked well for us, because we have had some really positive signs this season. Look, the results haven't gone its way. We were speaking with who was on last week with us.
Oh, Adam Drury.
We were on with Adam, and he was saying, look, if you look at most games, we're talking and we're saying we dominated and we were the better team in most games, which is pretty impressive. But so let's just not overreact too much. We've got 2 tough away games. He's going to need a big performance from his players. I don't think we should necessarily hang our hats too much on, we need 6 points from these 2 games, because I think that's unrealistic. But I think we need to look at performances and response from these 2 next games, which are going to be tough.
Yeah, just following up though on what Charlie said, but like this is what I don't get. We were doing so well up until that Leeds game. We were doing, even when we weren't getting results. I've said this already. I think our best performance this season was against Plymouth, and I know we didn't get the result there, but it just seemed that the first sign of trouble against Leeds last week, he's decided to completely change the system. I just don't get it.
I have to say, I agree with you, Sam, on that, because I mean, we were there last week, and for me, I felt that Leeds were streets ahead in terms of sort of the ability and stuff, and they got beat 3-1 away at Southampton yesterday. And I'm not saying that means Leeds are a bad team by any stretch. I mean, that means we're a better team than we are. But what it said to me was tactically, we probably got it wrong in that respect, and that's probably 2 games back to back. And Leeds, I saw a lot of Leeds fans were saying like we made them look good, which is an interesting idea. Sam, Charlie mentioned about sort of not overreacting, and he's absolutely bang on because it is early on in the season. However, early on in the season doesn't really add up for Gino, and he doesn't really take that into account, as we've seen with his track record at Watford. And I think we do have to talk about this because there was a lot of people talking about sort of the pressure Val's under now, me included, because I think whilst there's been talks about a contract extension and him being backed and him feeling backed by the board, ultimately 2 huge games coming up this week with Sunderland and Cardiff. Then we have an international break. And with an international break looming, we've certainly seen a change made before. Now, we're not suggesting that by any stretch, but do you think the pressure is on Val now to deliver? Because it's more the performance for me last couple of games. It's probably more of a concern than results in a weird way.
Yeah, I think so. I think it is a results game business, and Gino will be looking at the table, and I think he'll be worried about the potential for us to get relegated this season. I'm not overreacting. Well, I don't think the table lies, to be honest, at the moment. I think it's a big debate. I see actually on the Not Top 20 podcast of whether the table lies or not, but I just think that the reality is we're only a few points off the drop zone. I know things can change so quickly, and I don't think we're going to get relegated this season. I think we'll finish mid-table. But Gino, we know he's got an itchy finger, and if things don't start picking up, we know what happens. We've read the script already. Is this start worse than Rob Edwards last season in terms of numbers? It's worse. So
worse, but I struggle with this really because I feel like the consensus in the fan base is everyone wants change, everyone wants continuity, and I think we are a product of Gino's hire and fire.
I want him to stay. I
know everyone wants him to stay. I struggle with the fact that kind of even not that we're having this conversation, but I just think this noise, and even now as Watford fans, it's like we're having this conversation, and this noise is not helping. So I don't know what I'm really saying here, but me personally, I kind of get really frustrated when I hear the kind of, the first thing we talk about after a defeat is a manager situation. I think we as a fan base have got a bit of responsibility and to try and get on that change, and where we can back the manager and show to Gino, no, we can't be doing this all the time, but I do understand that he's created this environment. I don't know if that whatever I said's made sense of what you.
No, I know what you mean. I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Charlie, you're basically saying the frustration is the fact that we're having this conversation about a manager being under pressure after a couple of defeats in a row. I think, as you say, I think this is obviously a product of what Gino's created at Watford. I don't think that will change until he leaves, if I'm honest, just because of his track record. The stats don't lie. And as Roy Keane says, a leopard doesn't change its spots. The guy is not going to change the way he operates his football club based on sort of a short period of time. I think for me, the reason we have to talk about it is only because it's going to be interesting. I think this next 2 games is going to be so fascinating. I'm almost like, let's just say we get let's say we get 2 points. Does he make a change? 4 points. He probably doesn't. That's the bit I agree with you about, Charlie, because I think that's really reactionary and quite I think there's been such good work off the pitch that we've heard about what Val's trying to do. He's brought in discipline. He's trying to improve the culture. They've been really impressed from what I've read about sort of how he tried to implement his own style. But ultimately, it is a results business. And I think we have said, Sam, about how we do need to pick up. I get, just to Charlie's point, what do you make of that in sort of the conversation we have around managers quite on a regular, I mean, on this channel, we've done it for how many years? We're a regular basis. We have conversations.
It's a direct consequence. And I agree with Charlie. I think it's frustrating that we have these conversations. We shouldn't be. We should be getting behind the manager. We should be welcoming change at this football club. But ultimately, will Gino Pozzo change? And that's where the big question is. And this week is absolutely massive, because if we don't get, 4 points maybe, there are going to be questions. That international break Gino likes to make a change in that period where the new manager can come in and have 2 weeks with the players. I want to see progress. I don't want him out. I just think we know how Gino Pozzo works. He'll be looking at the table, thinking that a change is going to be necessary. And will it really shock anyone if it did?
No.
I see that comment from Tommy, and we talk about progress, like you just said, Sam. But from last season, I think we have seen progress from this season. Look,
I agree.
It's 2 bad results.
Sorry, just to jump in there, Charlie. Do you think, and this has just kind of come to my head now, but do you think he would have changed the system if he didn't feel under pressure? Because why on earth would you change something that's been going in the right direction? And it's like he's literally just trying to make something work to get a result, because, I don't know, it just felt very reactionary from Val, and it wasn't what I expected from him after the first 6-7 games. I thought we were really going the right direction. It kind of felt like he panicked a little bit.
Yeah, I'm really disappointed in him. But look, we all make mistakes. He's made a mistake. He's held his hands up. We've had plenty of Watford players in the last 2 or 3 seasons make mistakes. So, like, I just want him to go back to it. If he was kind of Roy Hodgson-esque when he was at Watford, do you know what I mean? He was quite negative and like quite bullish about his ways, but he owned it. So yeah, like, again, if we get to after the Cardiff game, which is 11 games or 12 games, is it enough time for a manager to go from a team that's lost 20 players? We know it's Watford and we know what happens, but we've got to give him time.
I agree.
I agree. Give him time, even if we're in the relegation zone. We've seen Coventry, we've seen Middlesbrough last season. Things can change if you get a run together. Like, it's early on in the season. We need to stay calm.
Yeah, this is where Gino's metal's really going to be tested. And I still think to be honest with you, I still think we're speaking in hypotheticals. I think it's a lot of, if we lose the 2 games this week, if we pick up X amount of points. Like Charlie said, the fact that we're even having this conversation before the scenario is a reflection of what Gino's ultimately created at this football club. So it is very hypothetical, but it will be a test of, does Gino really want change? He seemed quite bullish at the Open Fans Forum when he said, I'm not going to change, or he said something along those lines at least. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. We'll see. It's just frustrating, to be honest.
I think there's a distinction to be made with what we're talking about here, and we're not. It's whether he could be rather than he should be. So yeah. I think we're saying I think we're all agreement, and as I'm sure a lot of people in the live chat are saying, he shouldn't be. But I think you're right, Charlie. The fact that he could be based on Gino Pozzo's actions in the past is probably the bigger conversation. Anyway, we'll talk a little bit more about the game in just a moment. Thanks to everyone who's watching live. We really do appreciate it. Watford only. Val is good enough, in my opinion. How we got Barnsley 5th is a miracle. I love the way he conducts himself. Dave Robinson, firing Rob Edwards is proof that the manager is not the problem. We need to stick with Valérien Ismail. Harry says sacking Val wouldn't do any good, in my opinion. So I think the large consensus in the chat here. So Sam, I think Val is the right man, but his management yesterday was a bit poor. We can't play such progressive attacking football with our caliber of player. I think that's an interesting point.
Exactly, and that's fine. We have to allow managers to make mistakes as well. We can't just sack them every time. Managers are going to make mistakes. That's how football teams grow, because you see what works and what doesn't work. We can't just every time a mistake is made start talking about the job. That's the problem of the culture that's been created.
Geordie says numbers are worse, but quality of football is much better. Not that it matters to Gino. Adam says I'm very worried for Val. Love the guy and think we should keep him. So I think that's last line. We should keep him, but Gino worries me. Is probably the way to sum it up at the moment. Do you know what? Moving on back onto the game. And thanks to everyone who's watching at the moment. Really, really do appreciate it. Please leave a like on the stream if you're enjoying and enjoying the stream. And make sure to subscribe to WD18. Social channels, link in the description. Do you know what? Let's just talk through some of the key points yesterday. So Riley McGree put Middlesbrough 2-0 up with 2 of the easiest goals I think I'll ever see, Charlie. One ball straight through the middle, as you kind of showed through the graphic. We talked about the midfield dynamic with Adam, but it was all over the shop, wasn't it? I mean, we'll touch on Bio's goal in sort of against the run of play, but I think that game could have been out of sight, really, at 2-0.
You say that, but when I kind of ran through the stats, they had 3 shots on target. And I don't know, like, I think my big frustration, and we spoke before we went live, is we didn't rate Middlesbrough yesterday. Defensively, they looked poor. Like, we saw the first goal. Every time the ball went in the box, they panicked. They haven't been doing well. And yes, I do think on paper they have got better players, more kind of streetwise players than us. But it was just so easy to pass it through our midfield and those two. It's just when you're starting a game 2-0 down, it's really hard to win it at any level. So fair play for the team to kind of try and respond. And look, like you said, it is fine margins. Bayo scores when he runs through and he has a bit of composure. And then he has even more time to finish it when he rounds the keeper, and he just completely flaps it. Like that's just that's a vintage vacuum Bayo, and it's just such a shame. But yeah, pardon?
I thought he was good yesterday.
He was. Yeah, he was honestly like his link up play. He's like winning headers, but when it comes to it, when we've got an open goal to make it 2-2.
Sam, would we look at Bayo differently if he wasn't a buyout client?
If it wasn't we paid 5 million, if it wasn't we paid 5 million, if it wasn't the 5 million, I'd say if it was $1 million, I'd say good signing. Scored some big goals for us. As Ian said in the comments here, we've seen the best and the worst of Bayo in the space of 5 minutes yesterday. I like him. I do. I think his work rate is fantastic, and I think he's someone who doesn't let his head get down. And he keeps on trying. And I know that we do need to upgrade in that area. We're going to have to talk about Rajovic while we're on the subject. Another question for you then, Jacob. Who's more effective, Bayo or Rajovic?
I think it depends on the system. I think if you're just playing a one up top. Actually, having said that, look, early days for Rajovic. I think he's a box striker. I think Charlie spoke to the man who'd watched a lot of Rajovic, and he said exactly the same thing. He's not going to link up play. He's not going to be in the game, but he'll pop up with a goal like he did against Birmingham, which is an amazing header. The one thing that does worry me a little bit.
As well.
Yeah, Coventry as well, the 2 goals. Great positioning. The bit that worries me is his touch. Because if you're going to have your back to goal, your touch has to be a little bit tighter. So his link-up play needs to improve, but I don't think we're playing to his strengths at the moment, which is weird. I think, there was a lot of talk about this number 9, Sam, when Rajovic came in. And he's the exact profile that Val wanted, but we're not really giving him a lot of service. And when we have given him good service, more often than not, he scored. So yeah. I think
I honestly think I saw him getting some pelters yesterday. I think it's really harsh. Like I think if we had Rajovic like from the start of the season, we would have more points on the board. Especially that Plymouth game, I feel there was loads of balls across the box, and we just needed that striker there to tap it home. And yeah, I just think we're not putting in enough like crosses in or dangerous passes. I've watched him a couple of times, and he makes some really good, similar to Middlesbrough goal where their striker made a run off the shoulder, off Wesley Hoot's shoulder, and went in and finished earlier. I've seen Rajovic, especially against West Brom, make really good runs, and we're just not finding him yet. Maybe he could do with like playing with Esprit more because he's one of the one players that we've got who can find him, but. I just think we need to get him more in behind, and we need to put more balls in the box. That Birmingham goal that he scored, he had no right to score that. So, like Bayo had a good opportunity from a header, which was pretty well saved, decent effort in the second half. Would Rajovic have scored that? I just think we need to get more balls in the box.
Agree with that. This is really interesting in the comment section. So, HJ, good to see you, mate. Fans are fickle. Rajovic came in and scored a few, and he was the saviour. Now he's useless, apparently. Likewise, fans will also see Bayo's miss and ignore his goals. Good points.
I want to pick up on that. Sorry, I agree there with the football fans are fickle element, and I am still a big fan of Rajovic. I was saying at the same time that even when he was scoring, I want to see him more aggressive off the ball in terms of when he challenges in the air, when he's trying to get stuck into challenges. I said that even after the Coventry game. I just think that he needs to be more aggressive in the Championship.
Rio, take out the 3 goals. Rajovic hasn't been involved in any of the games. I thought he probably played his best in the first half versus West Brom with his link-up. Alex mentions that Rajovic was third choice behind Moore and Cabba. Bayo's miles better than you, fella. Sam, Rajovic. God, there's a lot of chat about Rajovic. Interesting. He's become a bit of a Marmite player for some people. Rajovic came in after Bayo's poor form and did a good job. The criticism he's getting after one performance is ridiculous. Charlie, is he a Val man? Val likes a big, strong centre forward who bullies defenders like Sorry Caraba. I mean, I think he has said that it was the profile he wanted, to be fair.
Yeah, I think he's the profile. Let's be honest, he might not have been first, second, or third choice, but look at our budget and like the market we're going in. Sorry, Caba went to Las Palmas in La Liga. There's only so much more we can do, but we have the team have got him a striker who fits the profile. Obviously, he's come from the Danish league, but again, he's played 3, 4, 5 games at the moment. He scored 3 goals. Like I said, after the first 3 games, Birmingham, we were like, "Oh, he's great. He doesn't need any touches. All he needs to do is score. That's what we need." And then after 3 games, he hasn't scored. He's like, "Oh, he's useless." So, let's just give everyone to stay calm as much as we can. Give him time, but. This question popped into my head, and I don't know if I'm going too early with it, but I'll go for it. Jacob against Sunderland. Who are you starting with? Formation and striker.
I'd go back to the system we were playing before. I think that has to happen.
Who leading the line?
I think I'd actually go Bayo. I think I'd go Bayo because I think just to add to that, I think if we don't reward Bayo for his performance, I actually thought he was one of our better players yesterday, Bayo. I thought he linked play well, obviously scored. Should have probably scored the second one, but his link-up play was actually really good. I thought the second half, particularly when Martins came on and we stretched the game, I like the look of him. So I'd probably go Bayo.
I'd probably go Bayo as well in the old system as well. How we were playing previously, I'd go with that, to be honest with you. That's what I'd go with.
Everyone loves Charlie. Charlie's ball knowledge, a CV masterclass. No, I agree with Sam. Alex says he was running the channel in the first half. He was never brought in to do that. Was poor from Val. Tommy says we are calm, but if we're not winning, we need to pick the bones out of it. Absolutely, Tommy. Old system of bite. Do you know what? Just going back on to yesterday, Sam. One player you want, not one player, but one moment you think needs to be talked about was that Zazzera pass. I have to say, agree with you. In the middle, and we talked about it, didn't we, Charlie, on the last stream about that Zazzera potentially drifting inside. I think we have to keep playing that guy there because he gets the ball on the half turn and he looks brilliant.
It seems like it's happened 2 or 3 times this season now. I think it's his pass in the Plymouth game where Bayo went for on goal and missed as well. Just such an amazing talent, which I don't think we're progressing or getting the most as we can out of. To be honest with you, I think
he had that big chance against Leeds that Zazzera put in different kind of cross against West Brom towards the end. I don't know if it just didn't get there, but that Zazzera-Bayo link up.
Yeah, definitely. So I'd quite like to see more of it. He has to be starting Zazzera for me. I just think he's such a exciting raw player with. Don't get me wrong, there's so much he can improve on, particularly when it comes to shooting in the final third. But if there's been a bright spark in the last few games when things perhaps haven't gone as well recently since the Birmingham game, I think certainly it's Zazzera.
Geordie makes a good point. We'd like to see Rajovic with Zazzera in the old formation. Zazzera is probably the best pass I've ever seen for Watford. He's incredible and could finally give Rajovic the service he needs. Geordie, I have to bring up a certain Alman Abdi.
Yeah, I was going to say Alman, surely.
No, but I have to say his vision at Zazzera is really impressive, particularly for his age as well. Obviously, Bayo pulled one back for us. The main talking point for us in the second half was Wesley. I mean, what a hit, Charlie. I mean, the technique's a bit weird, though, because he's kind of like hit it on the rise, hasn't fully followed through with the strike, and it's just kept rising. And it didn't hit it particularly hard either. And Dieng's just kind of like watching it go in. It was a really weird goal.
An intelligent finish, to be fair, because it didn't have the most pace on it, but he's just got the right contact to make it go in the right direction, and it kind of was always going up. Like, aesthetically, really nice goal to watch. But I thought second half we came out really well. Martins came on and made a difference for me. Again, I think Val, a bit of a nightmare not starting. Mateus Martin, who has been our best player, for me, our best player so far this season. But like we showed with that momentum bar, second half we came out firing, I thought. And I thought, especially after Wesley Hoot's goal, the crowd was up. Jacob, I don't know, you were there, but it felt like finally we've got a bit of atmosphere.
Yeah, it was momentum.
We've come from 2-0 down 2-2. We've got another half an hour now. And then it's just that third goal absolutely killed us, where, again, like Tom Delly and Luz were just a bit forward. Their man had loads of space to kind of find Colburn, who run off the back of Hoot. And Dan Backman, should he have stayed on his line? Did he get caught a bit in no man's land? What did you guys think of Dan yesterday?
Sam?
I thought it was poor. I think he could have done better with all 3 goals, to be honest with you. Let us know in the comments if you think that was harsh, but I think the first goal, I think he moves. I can't remember now if it was too early or too late. It was one of the two. I think it was
goes
too
early. He thinks he's going to go across.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, I thought that was poor. I think his positioning for the second goal was really poor as well. And the third goal, I think, again, he went too early and left the gap there for, who was it who scored the winner for them?
Cobburn.
Cobburn, yeah. Disappointing from Dan. Giving him a lot of credit over the last few weeks, particularly that Leeds game where he was fantastic. West Brom made a couple of good saves, but expected more yesterday from him.
So Luan's shared this image. I don't know if you guys can see that, and that was the position of Batman over here. On the, if you see quite near his quite near his post, so the positioning wasn't great for that one. A lot of people kind of picked that out as it wasn't great from Batman, I have to admit. But I thought, but for me, this is why sometimes I don't go on Twitter straight after the game, because I feel like I don't want to cloud my judgment on how I saw it. Not cloud, but I kind of look at it differently after I've seen loads of other people's opinions.
Just don't go on Twitter after the game as a general.
Yeah, I'm going to be honest. I need to stop doing that. But I don't think I came away from that game going initially, oh my God, Batman was at fault for all 3 goals. Do I think he could have done better? Probably. But if the main takeaway for me was that, I'm lying to you, because my main takeaway was how unbalanced we look in the first half, how we improved in the second half, and probably could have got a point on another day. But first half was, I'm still trying to shake that off, and it's Sunday at 8:00. Like it was not great. In terms of just sort of any other performers, or I say players that kind of you wanted to talk about, Charlie. Anyone you think played particularly well, particularly badly, that you think needs to be talked about? I have to say, I'm interested to know about that right back dynamic, because I think we all want Andrews to play down there, especially with his offer going forward. And it's no sort of shade on Ngakia, but I think there are levels now you're seeing, particularly going forward.
There's another player that I wanted to mention, but first I'll start with the right back. Yeah, Ngakia, interesting. He played really well against QPR, and he's kind of done all right, but I just think he really lacks with that end product, that decision making. Sometimes you've seen him beat a man and get into a good position. He did put one good cross into Bio, but I just think all too often his decision making gets caught in the ball. And I just think we missed that threat with Ryan Andrews on that right. And especially when Esprit is on that side drifting in and you see Andrews bombing on, you've kind of got that outlet, which we've seen quite a few times from Andrews this season. But I think with Ngakia, that dynamic isn't quite there. So that's my take on the kind of right back situation. I think Ryan Andrews could be a really, really top player for us and a top player in his career. So we need to play him while we can. Obviously, he's young, he's going to make mistakes, but I think he's a level above Ngakia personally. And the other player that I wanted to mention, unfortunately in a negative light, was Imran Louza. He's cost £10 million when we were in the Premier League. He's part of the leadership team, and games like this, I just want to see that one player kind of show some authority, take some responsibility. And we know how much quality he's got on the ball. I want to see him demanding it, making things happen, taking it off the centre-backs. Sometimes I just think he can be a bit too passive in his play, or maybe not take the right risk. And I don't know if it's a positional thing that's helped him, but I just think yesterday there are times where a top player will literally get the game and go, no, let me take some responsibility. I'm going to get the ball here. I'm going to pass between the lines. I'm going to make things happen. And I just want Imran to step up a bit in terms of that, because we know we've got it. So I don't know if it's a confidence thing, but I just want to see a bit more from Imran, to be honest.
Yeah, Sam, Louza, I have to say, I thought he was poor yesterday. You picked him out quite early, to be fair to you. You said that he hasn't really looked on it since that QPR game. I have to say, he ran the show that day, but level hasn't, and maybe it's because he set the standard high, but it has been quite a considerable drop off, hasn't it, in terms of his performances?
Massive, yeah. I think, to be honest with you, I'd go further back than that. I've been calling Imran Louza. I said calling him out. I've been highlighting his performances probably post his injury after Millwall, and I think that's still impacting him, to be fair. I think he just seems a bit nervous to get stuck in, and that's quite common, I think, after a bit of serious injuries for players where they're a bit worried about damaging their bodies again. We know he's injury prone. I'm just wondering whether that's impacting him in the back of his head. But we do need to see more from him. I thought he was so poor again yesterday, so passive, wasn't getting stuck in enough. And like you say, he's part of the leadership group, and he didn't stand up at all yesterday. And I thought, to be honest, comfortably, he was our poorest player on the pitch.
Just on that leadership group, I think it kind of went under the radar how much of for me anyway, how much of a concern that was, because it was made at the start of the season that Loser and Hamer would be two players in that sort of senior leadership group. And they set the rules out at the start of the season according to Val, which was like the players make the rules and you follow them. And obviously you had a finding system, etc. And one of them was actually about being on time to team meetings. And both Hamer and Loser, part of the senior leadership group, have been late to them. And look, that's why I feel a little bit sorry for Val, because that is just not good enough. And fair play to him, because he set the stall out that's not acceptable.
Yeah.
But that is a concern, Sam, that we've got two senior players there who, look, we don't know the ins and outs, whether he was 30 seconds late or he was half an hour. But the point is, it's not a great look, particularly considering we've lowered the age of our squad as well. So
yeah,
setting for the younger players.
Yeah, exactly. It's meant to be setting examples, and he hasn't done that both with his performances on the pitch and we can only go off what we see and what we know, but seemingly by what's happening off it as well, he doesn't really seem to be doing that either. He's such a gifted, talented player. He's a fantastic player, and that's where the frustration is ultimately coming from, because we know there's so much more there. And I just wish, genuinely, if Imran Loser plays well, Watford play well, I'd go that far. But we don't see that enough.
Yeah, agreed. Right, we're going to get on some player ratings. Thanks to everyone who's watching at the moment. Really appreciate it. Another bit of housekeeping. Just please do leave a like on the video if you enjoy. It really does help us out. Subscribe to WD18 and at WD18 fans on socials. Right, we're going to run through the player ratings. We're going to take one each. As always, get involved in the live chat in the comment section. What you would rate yesterday's players. So we'll kick it off with who's going to start with Daniel Batman. Charlie Zazzera. Daniel Batman, 4. Sam, but moving on.
You want justification?
No.
Let's win these quick fire. Let's do
it.
Ryan Porteous.
3.
Sierralta, I'd give 5. Who, Charlie?
Probably a 5, but if it wasn't for his goal, maybe a 4. I didn't think he was great defensively. And a couple of his long passes were inaccurate, which isn't that. Normally his long passing is pretty good, but yesterday he got a few wrong. Is that harsh? A 5 for who?
No, I think that's fair. Actually,
I think you made a great point that you don't want to let the goal just cloud his overall performance, and I think sometimes. But then also you could argue that Rajovic, couldn't you?
Yeah,
he's a striker.
I think who lost his man for the third goal, who was on the wrong side of him. But to be fair, I'd up Porteous to a 4 because I forgot that he actually got the assist. I know it was for Bayo. I know it was a defensive error, but
mate, Porteous was terrible yesterday. If we're being like he was getting dragged out, like.
Yeah.
But that does say to me the protection in front. I could be here all day. But
Culshaw's having a meltdown.
Honestly, I'm just Jesus. Jeremy and Ngakia, I'm going to give a 4. Jamal Lewis, Charlie.
Disappointed, really. I'd probably give a 4. Positionally, not great. Like you expect him now to come in with his caliber to do well, but I don't think the system kind of helped, and I don't think he really knew where he should be sometimes on the pitch, whether he should be high or low. So a 4, but I'm sure the change of shape hasn't helped him because he hasn't played too many games when we've been playing in the style that we've been playing normally.
Yeah, agreed. Imran Loser, Sam?
2.
Wow.
Well, I don't know what.
No, I think that might be lowest of the season.
Yeah, I'm trying to think what he did all game. To be fair, maybe even a 2 is generous. I don't know. Do either of you disagree?
I don't think there's an argument to suggest he played anything above a 3. To be fair,
he had one soft shot that kind of floated over that came to him on the edge.
Yeah, he wasn't. 2. I mean, we've had Sir and Loser's gone Loser 2. Simon Loser 1. Yeah, not great ranks, to be honest. Do you know what? This one is a bit easier. I think Tom Dele-Bashiru actually had a good game. I thought he was decent. I'm gonna give. Charlie's not having it. I'm giving. I actually thought he moved the ball well, Tom. So I'm gonna give him a 5.
Yeah, on the ball he was good, but just if you watch the goal for both goals, it's kind of he.
But that's the man. That's got to be tactically.
Yeah, but if he doesn't win the first contact, like there's 2 moments where it just goes by him and positionally, and then they're at us.
Okay, maybe.
I do think you're right. It's probably tactically. So
we'll go 4. We'll go 4.
Yeah.
Not helped by the system, Tom. I don't think.
No,
so.
But Tom's been great this season. I think one of our better players.
Yeah, agreed. Yasser Spritz, Sam.
It was all right, to be fair, particularly in that first half. Fantastic pass. 5, I think. Yes, sir.
Rajovic, Charlie.
3. Is
I'm
that too harsh?
I
No,
don't think it's fair.
it's Charlie. It's your rating at the end of the day. Vakoum Bayo, I'm actually going to give a 7.
Man of the match for us.
I thought he was. I thought he was great. Honestly, I really thought he had
the crow rise from the ashes once again.
like for sure he should have scored the second chance, but I think the positions he got himself into, his link-up play was good. Pardon me. He caused Middlesbrough problems. Had a good header saved as well, which you forget about. I thought he was good. He was good yesterday, Bayo. So do you know what? 8. I'm giving Bayo an 8. Nah, 7. I'll give it a 7. But no, I think Anthony makes a good point. Play like he had a point to prove.
Yeah.
And we have to be fair because I mean, look, he's not the glamorous new signing, but Bayo had a good performance. I think that's fair. Moving on to the subs. Is there any subs that you think? Well, actually, Mateus Martins, Charlie, who I thought came on, looked bright, hit the bar.
Yeah, probably a 6 or a 7, maybe a 6. Yeah, just get the ball and he kind of lifts the crowd, and that's exactly what we needed. And I thought he was the main catalyst to getting us back in the game. And yeah, if we're sitting here and he puts that like 2 inches lower in the last minute, we'll all be going mad. So I think he's been one of our better players. He's got to start every game for me.
Well, he's the one player, Charlie, that you feel like he has a moment in him, and we don't have many players like that. Spree probably you put into that bracket, who can just create something out of nothing. Sam, any other of the subs that you think worth rating? We had Chakvedetsi, Healy, who was given a run out. I think Andrew French said he was coming back from a calf injury. Tom Ince and Kiembe. Any players you feel? I mean, some of them.
It's difficult to rate them. To be fair, I did want to shout out to Healy. Good to see him back. I hope to see a bit more of him. To be fair, ease him back. I wouldn't start him probably until after the international break, but hopefully a few more minutes in there because, it'll be good to have that extra option in there, particularly if we do carry on with the 2 up front. We're going to need backup off the bench.
Am I overreacting with that chance where Ince got to the byline? And I thought all he needed to do was put it to Healy, and the keeper
did well. I thought the keeper did well there.
I just looking at it, I thought, could he not just find Healy was in a good position just to tap it in? Maybe I'm being harsh.
Yeah, I can't actually remember that chance, in fairness. Sorry. Oh, yeah, I know the one you're talking about. Yeah, I thought the keeper did well, to be honest. Kiembe, yeah, I think Nick's fair. Kiembe did okay, in fairness. We'll give Kiembe a 6. 5. Charlie gives me the eyes, and then I know just drop it 1. The actually interesting point. Georgie Chakvedetsi.
Georgie. Love Georgie.
What's happening, Sam? People are saying we need to give him a start.
He had such a good cameo against QPR on the first day, but
is it in Diego Fabrini?
I hope not. You can't judge it. That's the thing. I do think he needs to start. To be fair, I don't know when that would be because I don't really see where he fits into the system from the start. I really like him. I just think it's too difficult to judge him off 10-minute cameos that he's getting when it's difficult to get into the game.
His biggest problem is Mateus Martins.
Yeah.
Would you always play him off the left then, Georgie, or would you put him into the middle?
I wouldn't mind seeing him as one of those 8s, but there's no good seeing him when we're chasing a game against a low block like for 20 minutes to see what he can do. It's like it's unfair. So if we can get some sort of midfield and defensive structure as him as an 8, but I do think, I don't know, maybe he deserves a chance over someone like Imran Louza.
I've heard that name. I've heard the name so much this week. I'm trying to teach my housemate who knows nothing about football, a Watford player, every day. First one I went with was Georgie Chatfatazzi, and we're still trying to learn that one. So
Do you hate them?
You know what? It's really. I don't know if anyone else is the same at work, but you get like some people who come like, "Oh, who's still playing for Watford these days? Is Dean talking about?" I'm like, "Oh my god." Nick says Chatfatazzi is the new Kutska, brilliant debut, and that's it. Good question for Charlie. What position does Chatfatazzi start though? He's behind a lot of players, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think, like I said, like I would probably like to see him on that wide right where Martins plays, but I think Martins has been our best player. He shows he's got a really good touch and can cut in well. Yeah, it's hard to see him playing that team, but then again, Martins didn't start on Saturday, so I do think Martins has got to start. I think maybe as one of those 8s, maybe do you swap in from Imran Louza, Chatfatazzi?
Yeah.
He can't be any worse defensively than Louza on Saturday.
Good point from Robbie. We hit the woodwork twice in the second half. Either of those go in and we might have pushed on for the win. Last rating to do is Valor and Ismail, and Charlie and Sam, you can decide amongst you who you prefer to take that one.
Extra point for admitting he got it wrong. Difficult to give him above 4, I think, to be honest.
Charlie.
That's what you think, Charlie.
Let's give him a generous 4. I really like Val. I think he's been great this season for us. I think culturally you can see buy-in. I think he made a mistake. It cost us the game. Rectify it, move on.
Agreed. Tommy makes a fantastic point. No one has mentioned Batman going up for a corner with 5 minutes to go and being told back by everyone. Oh my God.
I think it's Porteous telling him, go back, what are you doing?
He's got 5 minutes to go. I'm not sure about that.
Do you remember that game against Chelsea a few years ago where Foster got on the end of it in the last minute and like Kepa tipped it around the post or something?
Wow. Take me back. Do you know what? Just to wrap up the stream today, thanks to everyone who's watched. And if there's any final questions, we'll fire them over to the guys. Anything you think needs to be talked about that we haven't touched upon. I feel like we've covered it pretty well. I can't really think of anything glaringly obvious that we've missed, but if there's a question specifically you'd like to ask the guys, then let us know. So looking ahead, big week. We mentioned it for Val. We mentioned it for Watford, Sunderland and Cardiff. I'm going on my first Zazzera away day with Charlie to Cardiff. Sunderland, I have to say, this is a message to the club. Anyone who makes that journey to Sunderland away deserves either something for free, a shirt, a scarf, something, because that is incredible. On a Wednesday night, Sunderland away.
Is it Wednesday or Tuesday?
Wednesday.
Or Tuesday. Wednesday.
Yeah, it's Wednesday, yeah.
If you're making it to Sunderland, I mean, hats off to you. And realistically, Sam, as an away day veteran, what time are you making it back?
I'm not actually going. I just
can't.
No,
what time would you be? Would you roughly if you go out on the coach?
On the coach, you're probably looking at 3-4 in the morning, I think, aren't you? To be fair, with how long does it take to get back coach? About 6 hours, probably. Sunderland to Watford. Yeah.
So what do you guys? What's important to you from this Sunderland game? What do you need to see?
A change back to what we were doing before Leeds, I think. Before the second half.
That's before the game. What do you want to see through the game and afterwards?
One thing, if we're going to end on a positive when talking about the game before doing the prediction league, I do think that, unlike last season, this isn't an effort problem. I think the desire's there. I think the heart's there. I think the effort's there. So, unlike last season where I turned around after so many games and thought, I just want to see the players try and run a bit. I don't think it's a case of that. I just think it's a case of concentration, first of all, particularly defensively. No more lapses in concentration. And taking our chances when we have them.
Agree. I do agree with that. I don't think this season has been the one for trying either. Yeah. Every game you feel like we have tried and the players are committed and there's effort. And I think if we're turning around and questioning that, then we're missing what's going wrong with Watford at the moment. And it's not that, I can assure you.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, I said, if this game was last season, when we're 2-0 down the first 20 minutes, we lose that 5-0. But we had heart to come back from 2-0.
And also the fans would have turned last season.
Yeah.
And they didn't. when we went 1-0 down, the fans were starting to get behind the team, which I thought was a positive because that does show that they are committed to this team. But Charlie, I'm going to flip it around to you, mate. What do you want to see from this Watford team come Wednesday?
Yeah, similar to Sam, but I want to see some sort of structure defensively, which was missing, especially in that first half. To be honest, I think it's going to be a really hard game. Sunderland, no, it's only Sheffield Wednesday, but they're looking in really good form. Jack Clark looks a top player, and I think they're going to be a problem for us, even in the style that we were playing with our kind of risky fullbacks going on against their tricky. So I do think it's a tough game. I just want to see it as like a good performance, trying to be sound defensive structurally, and then just work off the front, try and get Martins in some good positions and see what we can do. But I'm not expecting a result. I'm sure we'll get to the predictions, but I just want to see a performance and the team that we've seen first couple of games this season.
Agreed. Predictions?
Sure. I'll share the screen.
Get the table up. This has been a bit of a humbling experience for me. I've been way too positive with the ratings, and I've come onto this stream and I've just been like, oh God, we've had a shocker. Go on, Sam.
So our current standings, because Charlie predicted us to lose 3-0 at Leeds. I predicted that we'd just lose, and Jacob said that we'd win it. Means that, and we all predicted a win yesterday, so no one got points. So I'm top of the league with 5. Charlie is second with 4. Jacob sat at the bottom with 3. How do you feel?
Horrific, considering I predicted us to get 26 points, which would put us top of the league.
Pretty much, yeah. Let's predict the 2 games for this week. So, Jacob, Sunderland away on Wednesday.
I'm going to have to predict my first loss. And I'm going to go with 2-0 Sunderland.
Charlie, what are you going with?
I'm going to go with a 2-1 defeat.
I'm going to agree with Jacob and go 2-0 defeat.
2-0 defeat. I'm hoping we will actually win because I predict us to lose.
No,
obviously,
it's a win-win, not a win-win. If we lose it, you get the points. Win it, it's happy days. And let's do Cardiff away. Jacob, what are you going for?
Yeah, Rio. Jacob predicted us we will definitely win.
Bear in mind as well, because we all predicted a defeat here. This could be the game Valerian Ismail fights for his job. That could be in the back of their heads.
Just cuts to Charlie breaking his computer. 1-1.
Charlie.
I hate this. Oh,
it's good fun.
1-0 Watford win. Where's the nearest prism in Cardiff?
Charlie, what's on the Zazzera like away day bucket list? Like, what do you tick off normally? Is it?
Oh, it's your usual. Nice breakfast before. Doesn't have to be a fry up. Can be some nice kind of eggs Benedict or something like that.
Oh, wow.
And then you're getting on the train, 2-hour train. You're looking at least 4 beers, and then some fun games on the train. You need to kind of get a bit giddy for a Watford game, and then see us lose, and then just go home.
I honestly cannot wait.
It starts off, just goes like this, just all the way down.
You need to really pack in like the happiness and the good times until 3 p.m.
Sam, what have you gone for?
I think we win 2-1.
I love the way Sam says it like it's definitely happening. The confidence is incredible.
Well, do you know what? I often predict us to lose, to be fair. I mean, to be fair, look, this season I've predicted quite a few wins, but I'd say out of the 3 of us, I am often the more pessimistic out of the 3 of us.
In terms of predictions or just general vibe?
Just generally, I think. Yeah, I think getting a bit deep here, Jacob.
No, I know what you mean. Like, I'd say, Charlie's definitely glass half full.
I've just seen some breaking news. It's not Watford related, don't worry.
Beale been sacked?
Mick Beale been sacked at Rangers.
Wow. Goodness me.
John Eustace is the favourite to go there, actually.
I think he said he's not interested.
Give it Ucko to the end of the season.
Me on the touchline at Ibrox.
You know what? Eggs Benedict, just to wrap up, Charlie. Interesting shout on an away day.
I just think sometimes if you're having a full fry up and then you want 4 beers on the train, you're feeling like crap. You just want something a bit light, but something that's going to line your stomach nicely.
That's Rangers on the phone. No, I agree. That just tees up nicely. Yeah, I'll get back to them. So this will be my last stream on WD18. They're back again. This will be my last stream on WD18. Rangers are calling. Sam, Charlie, what a pleasure. I think that was quite cathartic, actually.
Yeah.
I feel like Charlie might be coming away from this a little bit more. Like, you started off pretty calm and then it came to like that at the end.
Like we tweeted out before, this is Watford therapy, and like I was lucky that I was busy yesterday. Otherwise, I'd have just been sitting on it. But straight after defeat, I don't think there's anything better than chatting to you guys, getting all of our grievances out, and hopefully, like, it helps everyone that's watching. It's been great on the chat, seeing so many people get involved. So hopefully, it calms everyone down, gets things off everyone's chest, and we go again. Sunderland away. If we win, we'll be back bouncing.
And no home game until after the international break. But make sure to get yourself down to the Mad Squirrel as well.
Oh, it's a great point. Make sure, guys, to go to the best beer in Watford, which is Mad Squirrel. What a selection on tap, by the way. It has to be said. So links in the description below. As always, please drink responsibly. 18 over. But if you do both those things, obviously, great beer. Really nice beer, great selection. Thanks to everyone. Ian, really appreciate it. Tommy, what a man. And some of those comments are funny. And yeah, make sure to leave a like on the video, subscribe on the way out, follow myself, Charlie and Sam on socials, and WD18 at WD18 fans. Really, really do appreciate it. And we will see you next Sunday. I think it's probably, I don't think we'll have a big stream.
Are we going to have some exciting content on the channel soon? Some new stuff?
Oh, absolutely.
We got some stuff in the can. Yeah.
I'll tell you what, Charlie, that is just phenomenal promotion. But yeah, turn on post notifications, see everything uploads. Have a fantastic week, guys. Hopefully Sunderland, Cardiff go well. But yeah, nice one. Take care, guys. And up the Hornets. You want.